we go. We are live with the consortium of coaches. So thank you very much for joining. So we have Patrick Savory, Blake Miles, and Candice Axford. Thank you very much, guys, for joining this call.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for joining. And myself, I am Josef Surfatti. We are all coaches, and this is an idea that Blake and I have had for a while. We wanted to do something called the Coaches Roundtable, where we have a gathering of coaches and to discuss a topic, and in order to serve the general public and people like who need that inspiration, that empowerment in their day-to-day lives. And it's great because each coach has a different style of coaching, but we all pretty much have that same message to help people be the best versions of themselves. So in today's first edition of the Consortium of Coaches, our topic of discussion would be, so given that we're already 2 weeks into the COVID-19 pandemic, 2 weeks that it's been declared. So personally for me, I'm in day 16 of self-isolation. Some may have gone, I don't know about you guys, some may have gone on autopilot, and there are others who are frantically trying to figure out what to do next in terms of job, finances, to maintain their sanity, because they have children, what to do with them as well. And a lot of families are working remotely and have to homeschool their children at least an hour a day, and also come up with activities in order to kind of keep them active. So we're all going through this, and we need to keep our resilience tank full or keep it in check. So in today's conversation, I want to talk about ideas, how we can help others, guide others in checking in with daily habits, doing a self check-in or review of the past 2 weeks. Right, we've been in self-isolation. So how are we, right? So whoever wants to go first, let's talk about in terms of daily check-ins, daily habits. What can we do first in order to make sure we don't lose it?
I would love to jump in first on this one. This is a topic that I'm huge on. It is daily gratification. You got to definitely check in on what you are grateful for, with the fear and scarcity being at the forefront of a lot of people's lives right now, with financial, with not knowing what to do, with kids not being able to go to school, going to work, all of that kind of stuff, where everybody is so uncertain of what's going to happen next. It's very key that you keen in on all of the small, tiny little things that we all have a chance to be grateful for. Waking up in the morning, the first breath that you breathe, being able to smell coffee or tea, whatever you drink, being able to sit on the couch and not have to rush anywhere, not having to pay for gas every twice a week because you travel so far to go to work. Being able to learn something new about your children, all sorts of things that you can be narrowing in on, reflecting on, and just taking time to be present within and just being grateful. And when you take gratification and you narrow your energy in on that, you're living on the highest vibration. And I find it's really hard for other negative emotions to kind of get into your physical and your mental state, because you're able to see the positive and see where there's something to be grateful in everything that's happening around you.
You know, I think the other thing too, Candice, is that with that positivity, that a lot of the examples you gave are also possibilities. And things to pursue and look into. You can tuck a little more money aside. You know, sure, there might be a strain on the income a little bit, but like you said, gas is expensive. Well, it was expensive, and you're still, less wear on your car, etc. It opens your mind to possibilities, and when you're thinking possibility, the limiting belief of panic is a little harder. We're just worrying about, am I going to be alive tomorrow? And if that thought does hit you, then like you said, jump to that gratitude. Hey, I did. I made it to another day. We can all be more grateful for every day now. And then we can turn our mind to that, hey, what can I make out of this moment? Like you said, whether it's something esoteric like more time with the kids or the grandkids, or, people being at home, or it's some money saving or whatever. When you get your mind focused on what you can possibly make out of this moment, it doesn't leave a lot of room for the negative thoughts and the fear of what. When you say, what am I going to do? You don't have to worry about what's going to be done to you. That's the problem, is we're all standing here idly going, what's going to happen to me? Well, hey, wasn't it Abraham Lincoln who said the best way to predict your future is to create it, right? So you decide what's going to happen to you, because you're still in control of 99.9% of what happens in your life at this moment, and you're in a whole new place and with a whole new world in front of you. So if you're going to sit and obsess about the 0.1% lack of control we all have right now about our destiny and our future, wow, that's a waste. That's a real waste. So I love that. I love that you're always about the gratitude, but we can take both angles now. We can be grateful for what is, and we can be grateful for what we're about to create.
Yes.
So I think there was, talking about attitude of gratitude, and we always talk about it. And I think in the past year for myself, that has been like in the spotlight, right? We're talking about, we're grateful because, yes, we're saving money in some areas. However, despite the fact that there's a financial burden because we're not making as much income as we used to, there is the aspect of gratitude because we're spending more time with our children. So we have that as well. But at the same, so those are external factors. But also, I feel gratitude for intrinsic growth in terms of discovering myself. What can I do to grow, keep on growing, 100%. Despite the challenges that are presented in front of me? And these are not just these challenges. At the end of the day, you know what? It may sound funny, but it's like fertilizer. It's like fueling me, or fuel. It's fueling me to grow. So
100%.
As an in-home personal trainer, I can't go to my clients' homes because I can't be face-to-face with them. I can't be in the same home because of self-isolation. This is, like, as I mentioned earlier, it's day 16. What can I do? Online training. How can I make that experience? And it's not about, giving the exercise. It's what kind of experience can I give to my athletes? So I'm thinking of strategies. I'm learning. I'm listening to different people. I'm listening to other coaches like you guys right here, where I'm inspired. I get ideas. And as fitness professionals, we have to gather ideas from different places in order to thrive. And 100%. I think that's what I'm grateful for, is that opportunity. I know we can marinate in our sorrows, but it's pointless. We want to swim forward.
We can all live in woe is me right now if we desired to.
I think uniting the two thoughts of what you guys have too is that we've never had a better time to take time for personal growth. I mean, how many of us, I bet every one of us here could allude to at least one program or course or something, even just a book that we've been meaning to get to. And I don't know about you guys, but I've eaten about 18 books in the last, and I've just crossed the third course off my list of things. So many stuff that I had not gotten around to. And, as I'm going through these, I'm writing down barrels of content to share with people, things to put out, thoughts that have been sitting trapped in that book for the last however many months. And so there's so much time for that, whether personal growth is reconnecting with family, personal growth is empowering yourself, personal growth is creating new revenue streams, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter how you define it. Never have we had more imposed time. We have no choice but to take advantage of buckets of time. And again, if we're going to spend them woe is me or panicking, that's just what a horrible waste. Because when the smoke clears, whether some of us are in a hospital bed or some of us are walking down the street, we'll all look back on this time and go, my God, so much beautiful, precious time was available, and either I made the most of it or I totally wasted it. I blew it.
I also feel that right now, if you're in the midst of living in scarcity, or oh, woe is me, I feel it's going to be extremely hard to transfer over when the smoke does blow away. I feel you're going to, if right now, I'm not saying, if right now financials are hard, not to look into building strategies so that if something again happens, you're a little bit more secure. But I feel that if you're constantly living in fear right now, when everything goes out, going to go with friends to that event, you're gonna be, oh no, I can't because I need this money. What if something happens again? Or no, and you're gonna be shelving your stocks, stuffing your shelves full, and you don't need to. I feel that you need to start transitioning over now to understanding that there's so much possibilities inwards and outwards for us to grab hold on and really dive deep in, whether it's working inwards, learning more about yourself, who you are, working on programs, projects, developing online training like you're doing, all that kind of stuff is really important. And then, yeah, all of the outward gratifications that we still have, that we're still available to us at our fingers, being grateful that we, can stay in a warm house and all that stuff is very important. So I feel that it's really key that we start trying to transition our fear to faith right now, that as individuals and a society and a world are going to get over this and will conquer it and it will defeat it and will come out prosperous over time.
Yeah, and the other thing is that the world is going to change. I mean, we'll never be quite the same after this. That's our nature. And like you said, you need to condition the mindset, not just for the moment, but for the future. The people who have a mindset of abundance right now are going to come out of this into a world that is different, and they're going to embrace the difference, and they're going to run with it, and they're going to see it as an opportunity to reset some things, to change some things, to reboot, to change. Those that are in scarcity now will stay in scarcity, and they will come out of this just waiting for the next crisis. And they'll waste all the beautiful time in between. And when the crisis arrives, that'll be their tiny, pathetic, awful, horrifying moment of gratification when they go, see, I told you we were going to have another crisis. It's like Nostradamus, right? I predict all will go wrong. Well, you're never going to be wrong because, of course, eventually it will. So those who are predicting that there will be right in the world to take advantage of, those are the people that are going to create growth, not only for themselves, but for all of us.
I just want to get Patrick in. He's been trying to get a word in. Yeah, what's up? What's on your mind? What are your thoughts?
Patrick, I got to tell you, one email would have saved you and I the embarrassment of this shirt fiasco. It's
well,
really.
I just figured if I stayed quiet, people would just think it's you and me taking turns talking, so it'd be okay.
So for those of you listening right now, both Patrick and Blake are wearing the same colored shirt, have the same beard style, and pretty much the same hairstyle.
And we look wonderful.
It's really just a practical joke that Joseph played on us, actually.
That's what it is, yeah.
He told us next week to show up naked. We didn't fall.
Who knows what's the bottom half like?
I guess for me, what I've been trying to do is a little more reflecting, which I'm normally not super great at. Everyone says that everything you go through shapes you and molds you for what's to come. And I don't always, I guess, appreciate that or notice it. And actually, even just talking with Joseph a week or so ago, some of that came up just in conversation and reflecting back of some of the past work experience I've had and different things I've gone through. I feel kind of prepared me for this sort of moment of isolation and limitation of what resources and what you have. So I'm trying to take a little bit of time to think back of what I've gone through, and then resetting my focus on looking ahead to where I want to go. And like we've all kind of said, there's a laundry list of goals and things I want to do, and just never had the time. And now I have the time, so I need to make the most of it. And I've been sharing some kind of word of the day or information kind of posts with some of my community. And one of the things I talked about, which again came from my experience, was adaptability. So everything changes so quickly. Every day there's a new policy, there's new mandates of crowd numbers and this and that. So everything's going to change. So you got to be adaptable to that change. Listen to what's out there. Take it in, not overdo it, but take it in, be aware, and then apply that to your life. And having the ability to adapt to day-to-day tasks or day-to-day information that's coming in, but also adaptability to maybe tweak or change or adjust yourself. If you're working towards a certain goal and you hit that bump in a road, then maybe I need to tweak and adjust and take a right turn instead of a left and go a different way to get there. So having that adaptability, not get so, I find sometimes we get so strung up on completion or failure, and not knowing that it's kind of that movement along the way that kind of gets us to where we want to go. And if it doesn't work one way, then we just need to do a little shift and go around the other way. So those are kind of the two kind of overall, I guess, themes I've really taken on the last week and a half. And then kind of little bits here and there to try to mold and move forward. And again, do those things that we've all said we're doing, and we're all kind of going the same places, just at different levels. So I'm just trying to get those steps in motion so that I can progress myself to that next level in the business as well.
And what's really interesting, what I'm seeing from you, Patrick, especially on social media, those daily, not the personal training, not the workouts, but at 6 p.m. every evening, you're giving some form of coaching online, like video, just words of inspiration. And it's the first time, and I'll be honest, from what I've seen, that you started doing this regularly, not just the workouts, but this regularly and the coaching. And you're discovering something about yourself right now that you didn't think you possibly didn't think you were able to do, but now you're able to do, and now it's opening up more doors for you. Mm-hmm. That's what I find interesting about this, where a lot of people are finding those who didn't find it easy to go live on Instagram, on Facebook. That's the hardest thing, to go live. To public speaking is the hardest thing, and everybody strives for perfection. But at the end of the day, everybody's going live, embracing imperfection, and just riding that wave of growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love your emphasis on the flexibility, Patrick, because, Candice and I were focusing on the gratitude, the possibilities, the positives that we should try to embrace. And you're talking about what we have no choice but to embrace. It's, that's been thrust upon us, whether we like it or not. Every day, every hour, sometimes every minute is different. It's, our fate as a race and our own possibilities, everything, just boom, 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 boom. Misinformation aside, even with just the flow of good, constant, fact, it's still changing all the time. So that's imposed upon us. And again, if you are going to fight it, you're going to be swimming upstream in acid. Yeah. And if you learn to embrace that and create your own flexibility, then, boom. My emphasis right now, and it's everything that I'm teaching, as it were, whatever I put out there, the underlying message is that this is the opportunity to reboot, or retcon, or whatever word you want to use, your life.
Shed some skin.
That's exactly. This is the moment to start creating habits that you said I don't have time for. Not enough time is not an excuse for 90% of the world now. You can't use that excuse. So take the time, punch those habits in, and when life starts dripping back in, it'll run into those blocks that you've created, and it'll ride past them, and they'll stay. They'll be sacred if you let them.
Right now is I find really important for all of us to look at the scale that we put importance on. I feel we all have a scale of importance, and everything that we do, everything that we have, everything that we own, everybody that's in our life, everything that like our work, our everything, our environment, what we do, our habits is on a scale of importance. And I find right now is a very important time to take a look at that scale and say, okay, where does everything lie? And can I shuffle some things around? Because is it really important that I have to do the dog run or this, and this right after work when I know that is the best time for me and my husband to spend time together? But I don't take it. But then I get angry that I don't have time with my husband. Little things like that are very crucial that we all sometimes don't even recognize that we're doing to ourselves or to our family or to our environment. And I find really important that if we take time right now to look at our importance scale and figure out where we can plop things in appropriately, when life does come back into play, we'll be able to transition and not resist so much of what's happening now and what's going to happen in the future.
And further to that, we need to examine that list, but we also have to take a step back and see that list has been shuffled for us. Those lists of importances have been changed. And instead of resenting that our list has been disrupted, we need to rejoice that it has been disrupted and consider, like you said, when we're making those changes, take a look at a few that have been already imposed upon you and say, look, life has said right now, this is how you got to do it. Maybe in the future, that'll be a good way to keep it. Maybe not. Maybe some things should be shifted back, whatever. But the examination can begin by first not resenting and being angry about the change that has been brought into your life. Embrace that change, whether it's your list, your habits, your whatever, even how you process fear. It's going to be different today than it was even 2 weeks ago. Embrace the changes, get inside them, and realize that at a moment like this, your true self is pouring out. So your mind is shutting down a little. That's scary. But the joy is that means your heart and soul have kicked into high gear. And those are the voices you should be listening to anyway. And so start examining and thinking using that true self device, and let this go ahead and be quiet for a while. Just let it sit in quiet panic. It's talked enough, like me.
I think what happened is because all this is the way it has been happening has been a shock for everybody in the world. From going to a couple of cases, okay, just like a little virus, and even people denying it or just dismissing it, saying, I can handle it, just a little bug, it's a virus like the flu, to being like, holy smokes, we got to stay inside as much as we can to control this, to keep it at bay. And a lot of people went in without a structure. And what happens when you don't have structure in your life, what I mean by that is like scheduling, a plan. What do you have? What's your routine? And what are your goals? What's your vision? What's your mission? Once you have that established and you know what you need to take, then you're able to assess, take a step back. But if you don't have that, you're pretty much, how would I say it, on that big door floating in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. All right. Yeah. As your lifesaver. So, one question I would tell, for the people listening to this or watching this, do you have something that's structured already? Do you have, if you look back the 2 weeks ago, did you have a structure? And today, do you have a structure? If you didn't have one, how did you develop a plan in order to live every day, still feeling still with emotions of gratitude, with emotions of hope for the future, right?
I saw a quote from Brendan Burchard the other day, and it basically said, "There's always uncertainty in our lives. Now's the time to take a look at how you handle it, and are you making the best use of that? Do you have a proper strategy to handle that uncertainty? Because there's always going to be something, like we said, something's going to happen." So now is a chance to really look at your plan and look at your, like you said, your systems and your processes and reevaluate them. And so you can prepare for just day-to-day uncertainties, let alone something to this level.
Yeah. It's, it's funny. It's a couple of points. It's almost like a spring cleaning, like literally like we're in the springtime. It is a spring cleaning. You're doing a review. You're doing a review. Yeah. And I think that's what we need to do is look back where you were 2 weeks ago to where you are today. Right? How have you changed? And how are you going to be better in the next 2 weeks? Right? So you look at that and there's